My name is Tamathy. I grew up in a small town in Missouri, and I'm the oldest of 21 kids. There are 12 girls, 9 boys, no twins, same parents. And in Missouri, it's already spring. It's 85 degrees there. My sister got locked in her chicken house this week, and so it's even hotter in there. But it's spring here too, our version of spring. And spring means a lot of things to different people. Rebirth, it means, the celebration of a lot of holidays, celebrating people who were scheduled to die and then didn't, and people who did die and then came back. And spring, a lot of themes like that were big themes in my life in the springtime growing up. And they still are, because I have 4 kids of my own. But in all those years with kids, these things happen all throughout the year, but especially in the springtime. These themes of birth and near death and resurrection, these things happen with kids. And there are certain sounds that kids make, and I know that one of these things has happened. And the first sound is I'm upstairs and I'm alone for a few minutes because I like to be alone. I like to be alone and pretend there are no kids. Even when I was a kid, that was my favorite thing to do, was to sit and pretend there were no kids. And then I would hear them coming, trampling over each other up the stairs, screaming, and you could tell by their voice, the excitement in their voice, and if they were saying, "Let me hold it, let me hold it," and someone else was saying, "Let me show her, let me show her," that meant they'd found something, some newborn thing. Some small bird, a little frog, some worms, and they were so excited to come and show me this thing. And that led to the next part, either scheduled for death and survives, or dies. And this was the sad part that I hated, because they loved these little animals so much, and the first thing they want to do is feed it. I did the same thing when I was a kid. I remember the very stoic frog that I caught and immediately tried to force feed grass. Why do we always think that frogs eat grass? I love frogs though, and also turtles and lizards, and how their stoicism, they're like Spartans. And they just keep their mouths shut and their eyes go. And you just keep trying with them. You have to eat. And why do we think that as soon as we find them, they must be starving to death? But this is what kids think. They must eat now or they will die. But no, it's the feeding of them and the loving of them that is going to kill them. And so that is what sadly happens, and that's the next noise that I hear after they all trample downstairs and a few hours go by, and I'm again pretending that there are no children. And then I hear them coming, and I hear the wail. The first child wails, the discoverer of the death. Maybe he was holding the frog too tightly, as I instructed him not to. But then the wail, and then the others, "No, the frog, that was my favorite frog." And then they all come upstairs. "It's dead." Sometimes it is. Sometimes it comes back. Sometimes if it comes back, I don't tell them about the resurrection. Yes. We put a rock over the grave, and then later I go and move the rock and let it free. And then it's another miracle, right? When they dig it up. But usually it is dead. The worm or the frog or whatever, the little bird, it's dead. And so then we have to have a funeral. And I've dug so many graves, so many graves over the years. Little tiny graves, slightly bigger graves, many graves. They don't have to be very deep because they're going to dig them up again. And then there's the really sad third sound that the kids make. This is the horrific screaming that they make. And this is the rescued animal that's close to death, that they save from the cat. And they bring it to you, the baby bird, the baby rabbit, the baby whatever, with its neck ripped open, with its leg missing. And you're like, no, why couldn't they have just let the cat keep it? But no. And now they look to you with this thing that's bleeding and trembling and still trying to be stoic. This is my least favorite part of spring. I hate this part because there's nothing you can do with these poor little things. But I have developed a strategy. It's the 1 hour in the box strategy. I get a box and I put a soft towel in it. No matter what the animal is, no matter what reptile, mammal, what bird, whatever it is, I put a piece of bread and a cup of water. And then I put it in a dark place far away from me for 1 hour. And I tell the kids it needs to rest. It will probably get better. If I go back and it survived an hour, then we try to help it. It usually doesn't though. But sometimes it does, and then you can move on to the next stage